Hanging with Hendricks and Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Dashawn Hendricks. That's Josh Hennig.
Yo!
Just had a great conversation with Michael Kasky-Blomeen, our 97.3 ESPN 76ers insider. And I want to kind of continue that conversation with Josh. Obviously, Markelle Fultz, Sixers guard, was diagnosed with thoracic. I'm not going to attempt to say all that, but TOS is basically
thoracic outlet syndrome.
Exactly. Which is a physical injury.
I'm here to help.
And I appreciate that. And I really want to dive deep into this as far as his role going forward, because no matter how he comes back, if he comes back Washington Fultz, as we all want him to, if he comes back as the same guy that looks lost, or he comes back just a little bit better, or even worse, the Sixers are in a messy situation, because when you look at it 3 to 6 weeks from now, or a month or now, whenever he comes back, presumably you'll be winning more than you're losing.
Right.
TJ McConnell, no matter how he's playing, and I don't think he's lighting the world on fire by any means, but again, that's not his game. The story will spin that he's playing well enough to keep his job, whether he is or isn't. So if you're the Sixers, no matter how good he looks, and best case scenario, he looks back to his regular form, you're not putting him back in there, because even if he shows you in practice that he looks great, you still have questions about him playing in a game. So you can't muscle him back into the lineup or just give him minutes, because you're taking away from what you already have. So now you're looking at a trade scenario. And what's been floating around recently is that the Los Angeles Lakers are interested in acquiring Trevor Ariza again. Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN has reported that earlier today.
Right.
And they're looking for a third team as far as a trade partner. It's no secret that the Phoenix Suns have interest in Markelle Fultz, as well as just any playmaking guard. If you're the Philadelphia 76ers, and Mike just talked about it with Elton not being totally on board with keeping Fultz, it wasn't inside information. It was just a hunch. And I feel the same way, because he didn't draft Markelle. So he doesn't have anything invested in him. What do you see as the future for Markelle Fultz?
Well, the future I see for Markelle totally depends on what happens after this rehab is done. Because I think that you're not going to trade a guy if you don't know what you're getting and what you're giving up yet.
But that's my point, Josh. I don't see him getting on the floor enough to prove it.
Well, here's why I disagree with you on that. You know how you trade for a guy or make an acquisition, and the guy hasn't played on your team, and then he walks in cold, and you got to figure out his role?
Yeah.
This Fultz could be the same thing.
Like last year when he came back.
Like if Fultz comes back, I'm just going to use a random date. The last week of January, he's back. He's at practice. And then what happens if he starts coming in the games and he's putting up 10, 15 points a game off the bench? What if he's coming in and he looks more like the Washington Fultz? And then are you really going to trade him then if he's a contributor off the bench? I don't think so. I think he's still a part of this team. Now, if he comes back and, like you mentioned, he's only a little bit better than he was before, then yes, maybe you look to move him because you don't want the money on your cap next year. You want to get something in return for him. I understand that. But if I'm the Sixers, there is no way in doggone hell I'm helping the Lakers get Trevor Ariza. This stupid idea that the Sixers should be a part of that deal is the most bogus load of garbage I've ever heard in my life. The Sixers should be chasing to get Ariza. I'm not going to help the Lakers get him. That's bogus garbage.
Well taken. But I want to piggyback off, because you said some interesting stuff. But here's the problem. First of all, I don't think Brett, and this isn't a source, I don't think Brett Brown is invested in Markelle Fultz as far as, playing him and stuff like that. Not because he doesn't like Markelle. I just feel like that Brett has his team that he wants on the floor in mind. And I don't think that Markelle is you even seen it even when Markelle was playing well this year. I just don't think that Brett trusts him enough to be on the floor. And I don't think that's fair to Markelle, because now you're telling the kid that you have to be perfect in your 5 minutes or 10 minutes of play in order to have a spot on this team. I just don't think that's fair for him. I don't think it's fair for the organization.
It's not fair, but at the same time, I don't think Brett or Elton or anybody is going to say no to a guy that's going to get you bunches of points off the bench. You could be a contributor.
But Josh, he had a game this year where they had basically 7 players dressed, where he had 14 points on like 70% shooting, and the guy looked great. His confidence was there, and Brett still sat him for the last 5 to 8 minutes plus overtime for TJ McConnell. And every time, by the way, and I want to point this out, every time Brett's done that, they've lost. But I just think that at this point, it's obvious that the Sixers aren't invested in Markelle Fultz anymore. And it's no fault of anybody's. I'm just saying that they moved on. When Brian, and I said this in the summer, when Brian Colangelo was fired, it was the writing on the wall for Markelle, because that was the biggest support in this organization for Markelle Fultz to be here. And you've seen it all year. When he struggled, it was magnified to the point where the kid almost had to be perfect to earn more minutes. He hasn't played over 24 minutes in his career.
I understand all that, but I'm not interested in moving a guy until I see what I'm moving.
I know that you aren't. I'm going off of what I've seen with the Sixers. I feel like they're ready to move on.
Here's what I've seen with the Sixers. The team needs two specific things. They need a legitimate 4 guy to play next to Embiid in the starting lineup, and they need more scoring off the bench.
They do.
And if Washington Fultz is coming off the bench, he fulfills one of those roles.
He does. I just don't know if he'll get the opportunity to show it.
He's Dashawn Hendricks. I'm Josh. You can listen to Hendricks and Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. We're here each and every Monday night from 6 to 8.